Hello, I'm Kylie from Kylie's Couch. Today I'm going to talk to you about narcissism. Narcissism is characterized by grandiosity, which is the belief in one's self-importance or superiority, and almost like a exaggerated sense of achievement. You know, people who believe that they're particularly clever or beautiful or who deserve more than everyone else. It's also characterized by entitlement, which is the belief that you deserve better treatment than everyone else. And it's also characterized by selfishness and lack of empathy. So not only is it about self-interest, but it's about self-interest at the expense of another person's well-being. I don't really care about you, I'm not thinking about you, even if you're in pain because of my actions, that doesn't matter to me. That's a narcissistic approach. So when we are around the age of toddlers, it's actually very normal to be narcissistic. If you look at 3-year-olds, they are naturally very narcissistic. They only really think about themselves, their needs, and what they want in any given moment. And that is completely normal for their developmental stage. They're really only starting to learn about how to be a self and how to think for themselves and how to choose things for themselves and how to want things. So they're practicing all of that. That stage of development is really crucial in developing the self-identity, and that is a section of psychology called self-psychology, which is all about how we develop a self, which is really the way we think about ourselves, the ideas, the thoughts, the dreams, the hopes that we have for ourselves. It's a psychological concept. It's not a thing, but the self is something that develops over time, and when we're very little, it's not very coherent. We're just in reaction to our environment the whole time, and as we get older, we have a more developed and coherent sense of self. I am this kind of a person. This is who I am, and this is where I start and end, and this is where I come into contact with my environment. And this is where the parent setting limits is so important. What happens if that doesn't occur is that the individual doesn't grow into a coherent self. So parents who are inconsistent, parents who are unavailable, parents who are abusive or violent, the self doesn't have an experience of developing in an environment that is supportive. What's also really important, and this is something we probably all do really naturally, we don't have to think about it, the first time baby learns to walk properly, or when baby claps his or her hands, or when that first painting that he or she brings back from play school. These are all really important moments of selfhood, where the self says, look at me in the world, and the parent says, well done, there you are, look at you go. And although it seems very natural, if a parent doesn't do that, and if the child doesn't have that kind of supportive environment where the parent is in tune with the child and noticing the child as it grows and develops, and rewarding the child for expressions of self, the child doesn't get that sense of, oh, this is me, this is what I do, this is what I'm good at. And the self becomes underdeveloped, or the child actually has a very hard time emotionally, and the self becomes fragmented, becomes distorted. And that's what we really see in adulthood, is that it's a arrested development at a stage of natural narcissism, around the age of 3, roughly. What that means, though, is that when the adult narcissist comes into your life, you mostly will notice that this person is a total asshole. That's like the first thing you'll say about a narcissist. You might not even realize this is narcissistic behavior. You'll just think this is asshole behavior, because any adult that's walking around behaving like a 3-year-old is an asshole and is doing things that normal adult people don't enjoy. You know, being particularly self-interested, demanding things all the time, causing other people to run around after them, expecting things to be done, believing that they are the only person in the world that matters, etc.